Hi book friends, and welcome to my 2024 Q1 reading wrap up. I've read 25 books so far, which is absolutely crazy, and let's just get into them right now. I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet because talking a lot about 25 books would get us to a very long video and we don't want that. So let's just dive right in. The first book is actually a two-part series, The Family Upstairs and The Family Remains. I loved these books so much. I actually enjoyed the second part a little bit more because there was a little bit of time pressure added and it's more in the it's more in one timeline and not so much jumping back and forth. I always enjoyed like a complicated family storyline with some cult aspects, crime aspects, some psychopaths thrown in there. A good time. So these were a 4 and a 5 star and I can really recommend them. Then we have Happy Place by Emily Henry, one of my favorite books this year so far. 5 stars. It made me tear up a couple of times and I love the backstory of the main character, and all I want to do after reading this is just book a house like this with all of my friends, and it just seems like such a safe space and such a fun time, and obviously it was a little bit dramatic but I just loved it so much. Next we have another series, the Caraval trilogy, which is Caraval, Legendary and Finale. I liked Caraval the best because the game setting was just so good. I loved it very much. And then I also really liked in the, I think it comes out in the last part, the like whole fates thing with the cards and everything. So fun. I think the first part is definitely the strongest and I love the sister dynamic, and as I've said, the Caraval, like the game setting, I think that they get weaker the further you get in, because I think that the game should have been like a bigger part in all of the books, and I just would have liked a little bit more depth in the relationships that the sisters each have. So we have a 4 and 2 3-star books. Still, it's a fun series, but just not as good as I expected. Next up, we have Harry Potter book 1 and 2. It's one of my goals to finish this series this year. Let's see if I can get through that. 5 stars, both of them. The whole series probably. I just love that these are children's books, but you can still enjoy the writing style so much as an adult. These are definitely 5-star worthy, and I just obviously love the whole Harry Potter series. I know we're on a positive run, but now I'm just gonna go in with some DNF books. These are actually books that I brought with me on vacation. We have A Touch of Darkness. I like the New Athens setting. What I didn't enjoy was how the relationships were built and how the characters talk to each other. Not my thing. So for the setting, I would give it 3 stars, but I DNF'd it just because I just wasn't vibing with it at all. I kind of want to start reading it again just to give it another try, you know, but I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it that much. And then Billy Summers by Stephen King. I had such high expectations for this book and I had very different expectations than how it actually turned out. So I DNF'd this one as well at about like halfway through. It just wasn't fast-paced enough for me. Like, the book has more than 700 pages and I felt like within the 400 pages I read, nothing really happened, even though the thing that's supposed to happen did happen, but it just wasn't like a big deal at all. So I think my expectations were just off and I probably wouldn't have bought it if I knew what it was about. So yeah, DNF this one as well. Next up we have The Ninth House and Hellbent, and I would summarize this series by demons, dark witchcraft and cults, all at the place where Rory Gilmore goes to college, and I love it. This was one of my favorite series so far. This one's a 5-star and this one's a 4-star book. I don't know why this isn't a 5-star, I can't pinpoint it, but I love these so much and I'm so excited for the next part. And I just, in general, like, I love the college setting and like the dark, moody, also eerie like vibes I'm getting, and the banter between the two main characters. So good. So I can really definitely recommend these and I cannot wait for the next part to be out. Then we have another series, The Naturals, or in German Cold Case Academy. Unfortunately, I didn't love this as much as I thought, because in theory Criminal Minds and YA would be the perfect thing for me, but it just felt a little bit rushed, so I couldn't connect to the characters all too well, so I'm probably not gonna buy the next 2 parts. And we have a 4 and a 3-star book. Unfortunately, as I said, I'm not gonna buy the other ones because they just weren't interesting enough. They were fine, but I didn't connect to the characters too well. They could have been like standalone books that I both would really enjoy, but they're just not enough for me to finish the whole series. A thriller that definitely was really good is The Housemaid, or in German, I guess, If She Knew, Wenn Sie Wüsste. So good. I always love a book where there's something going on with the house that the main characters are living in. I always eat it up. It's very fast-paced and the time pressure at the end, so good. It's a 4-star book for me, and I know that there is a second and possibly a 3rd part coming out. I'm not sure if I should buy them or not, because I read the back text of the second one and it kind of seems like a Verity to me. If you read the second part, please let me know if I should buy it, if it's actually worth it. But yeah, 4 stars. Another DNF, unfortunately, The Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I bought this mainly for the cover and it also has this really pretty card. I am obsessed with the world and how everything is described and the setting and everything, but going along with that, it was a bit too descriptive for me to actually finish it because it's just a very long story, and again I couldn't connect to the main character all too well because it always like jumps a couple months, and I just prefer to live through all of the events with the characters because I think that's more like you get to connect more with the main characters. So I DNF'd this one unfortunately. I think I'm gonna also pick this one up again. I just need to be in the right mindset to be able to dive deep into this world because it is so descriptive. Another favorite this series so far is Dolly Alderton's Good Material. 5 stars, so good. I do have to say I didn't really like the main character, the male main character, all too much, and having an emotional book with a male main character also was something new for me, so I think that made it interesting. And I also think the not super likable main character is part of why it is so good, because you kind of detach yourself from him a little bit while you also understand what he's going through. I love it so much, and if you're feeling like a little bit like lost in your 20s, 30s, whatever, this book I highly recommend it. It's just really good and just very comforting. It also made me tear up I think once, but yeah, 5 stars. And the rest are all fantasy books. So we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which is the first part in the Folk of Air series. I will be buying all of the Folk of the Air series books. This was 5 stars. I enjoyed it so much. The beginning was so cruel but also so good. It had me hooked instantly, and I love that it's not just like pretty world and like pretty like fake characters. It's kind of, I guess, brutal or like not so pretty, and I really think that that sets the book kind of apart from other similar books that I've read. Really enjoyed this. 5 stars. Can't wait for all of the other parts. Then we have A Curse Unbroken, which is actually a German book with an English title. The cover is so beautiful. I can't wait to have all of them on my shelf. This was a 3-star book for me because it just felt a little bit dragged out and the social media references were a bit too much. And also there was one like spy scene, and I think somebody said this book is good but let's add a spy scene for TikTok, and I didn't like it at all. I actually had to skip it because it was so cringy. I think it would have been better without that. It didn't need that at all. The setting, like the New York apartment, cozy vibes, is also a 10 out of 10 for me. So definitely excited to read more in this kind of world. Finally, we have Throne of Glass on the red shelf. I was so intimidated by Throne of Glass because it's just such a long series, and I thought that I had to like pay so much attention, and because it is so long, remember all of the details. But this one honestly feels like it's the pilot episode of a series, and I ate it up. I love it so much. I'm so excited for all the other parts. I really loved how the interactions and the relationship developing between the female main character and the 2 male main characters. I have no idea how to pronounce the names, so I'm not even gonna try, but I just enjoyed it so much, and like the little backstory you get from her, so good. I'm so interested to read more. I have decided to read Assassin's Blade 3rd, so maybe that tells you something about me not knowing much of her backstory yet, but I am so excited to keep going, and I actually should get the last 4 parts delivered today so I can finally have all of them on my shelf. And I did give this 4 stars just because it did feel a little bit, you know, like the pilot episode. Like it couldn't be a standalone book at all, but I am very excited for the next parts. While editing this video, I thought that I forgot to record 5 books, so here's the last 5. Starting with Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. 5 stars. So tragic, so emotional, loved it so much. Can recommend to literally anybody. So good. One of the most horrible thrillers I've ever read, Der Seelenbrecher, The Soulbreaker by Fitzek. He's a German author. I'm not sure if it's available in English, but this has combined like all your fears and phobias, except for maybe spiders, and it's in this book. 4 stars. It's a pretty short book. It takes place over just a couple of days, I think 1 or 2 days, but so good. Loved it so much. The time pressure, as I've mentioned, all of the fears and phobias, horrible, but really, really good. On Kindle, I read the Shepherd series part 1. 3 stars. It was really good, but again, as I've mentioned with Throne of Glass, it's obviously the pilot of a long series, and I'm not sure if I'm committed enough to read the rest of the series, because there's, I think, 7 parts of the Shepherd series, and then there's a whole different series. I don't want to spoil anything, but he kind of switches sides, and then I think there's also a good, like at least 4 books to that, and I don't know if I'm committed enough to read that many books for a 3-star book, part 1, so we'll see. Then another Greek mythology, I have I, Ariadne. The cover is absolutely beautiful. I love Greek books. My obsession started with Percy Jackson, and this one was only 3 stars. I think it was a little bit dragged out. I had higher hopes and maybe a little bit different expectations than what it actually was, but still really enjoyed it. And last but not least, we have Me Before You. a great but horrible experience. I read this on the train and I cried in public, so that should probably tell you how good this was. 5 stars. The thing with this book, I think there's no spoilers because everybody kind of knows at this point, but you keep hoping for a different outcome even though you know there's not gonna be a different outcome, but you just keep hoping, and then at the end obviously all your hopes are crushed and you just start crying on the train. That's what this book does to you. Those are all of the books that I've read in Q1 of 2024. If you have any suggestions based on the books that I've read that you think I would like, please let me know. If you've read any of the books and you want to share your opinions on them with me, please comment down below. I would be so happy to talk about, rant about any of the books. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one.